Unnamed Memory Volume 2 Review. If you read my review for Volume 1 of Unnamed Memory last year, then you'll know I was quickly taken with this fantasy series. Now Volume 2 has been released and it's time to find out if the series can continue being as captivating as the first entry. As we reunite Oscar and Tinashe, we find our days passing as peacefully as when we left them. However, with the appearance of the country of Koskul, a country for mages, and aggression between them and neighbor Tyree building, it seems his quiet days won't last much longer. To make matters worse, it seems the king of Koskul is someone from Tinashe's past, whom she's been searching for. His name is Lanak, and he was Tinashe's love from long before she became a witch. And what drove them apart, and what has suddenly reappeared? And why does Tinashe leaves Oscar behind to so stand by Lanak's side, but he appears at the castle searching for her? These are the questions that the first half of this book sets out to answer this so well. Until Volume 1 of Unnamed Memory was made of relatively short episodic chapters. The first 100 pages or so in these books are dedicated to this one arc. This is a notable change in direction compared to the previous installment, but I think it works well for developing Tinashe's character. Up until now, we know Tinashe to be aloof, distant, and quiet tsundere, but without any real explanation. For days beyond her having a troubled past, so getting to see the story for ourselves is rewarding. It certainly made me even more endeared to the character. It was also nice to have someone else come into the story who knows Tinashe, since so far there are very few characters who do, given the long lifespan witches have. As far as new character Lanak is concerned, well, he is a bit of a mixed bag. He thinks he has his heart in the right place by making Tinashe his queen and have her lead the country, but his desires often turn into mustache twirling, evil sometimes. I think the author manages to balance Lanak's evil tendencies with his personality, well enough to avoid any notable issues, but it's still fair to say that he's not as strong character as Tinashe as Oscar are. The downside of this by being a Tinashe-focused tale early and means Oscar ends up somewhat sidelined. Even in later stories in the book, Tinashe tries to discourage him from investigating cases due to his standing as royalty. This makes sense since Oscar was shown to be a lost candidate in the first volume and more than willing to risk his life for a little gain. But still, it's still a bit of sharing change all the same. Andre he still gets himself into his fair share of trouble, so it's not like he's completely absent or anything. One of the other interesting things happen in this book is that by the end, Tinashe and Oscar only have 3 months left on their year-long contract. Early in this volume, Tinashe manages to break the curse, or Oscar, very unceremoniously. Considering how important it was in Volume 1, it has to be said, and therefore nullifies most of the reason for her staying by his side. And this year, Oscar had been hoping to win the witch's romantic affection, and while the end of this book has nods in the right direction, it's clear that it hasn't been accomplished yet. This means Volume 3 certainly has a lot to do to keep the two together much longer, and I certainly hope they can live up to it. I'm also eager to find out what the structure of the next book will be. Will they have one long story and they will divert into short stories like this one, or maybe one story start to end? I did find this volume a little disjointed in how they told the story, despite how well written it was, so I'm hoping author Koji Furumiya can fix that. Unnamed Memory Volume 2 comes to the West thanks to Yen Press and is translated by Sarah Tiny. The translation reads well with no issues to note. The series is now complete in Japan in 6 volumes, under the sequel series was announced. And Yen has Volume 3 scheduled for English release in July. Overall, Unnamed Memory Volume 2 feels a little disjointed compared to Volume 1, and it takes some of the shine of it. However, the story it sets out to tell is one of the readers will be eager to explore, and one that more than makes up for any downside, any other